And guys, when you keep the weight close to you going up and down, you're going to take a lot of the weight and stress off of your lower back. Hey guys, Mark McKill here with Live Anabolic, and today I got some really good exercises for you guys over 50, all right? So I'm 59. Almost everybody watching is in their 50s, 60s, or 70s. We do have some guys in their 40s, all right? So for you guys, it's the same thing. These exercises are so important, all right, for building muscle and maintaining lean muscle mass, which also helps us get rid of that body fat that just tends to accumulate with age. Now, one of the things that I want you to understand as you get older, just like me, is I am a big believer in resistance training. It's also called weightlifting, okay? And the reason is because as we get older, it is so much harder to hold on to our muscle mass. And why is that? Well, partially because we're not moving. As we get older, we just naturally get sedentary, all right? We're not running around throwing the baseball or the football or the basketball, you know. We're not playing tackle football anymore. And the other thing is, guys, you know, our testosterone levels, our hormones just don't work as well when we get older. And when our testosterone levels drop naturally, like they do, it makes your muscles waste away. It makes it much harder for your body to hold on to muscle mass. So, for those reasons, it's even more important for us to lift weights as we get older. And most people think it's the other way around. Man, when you're in your 20s, man, you need to be pumping the iron, hitting the gym. Even when you're in your 30s, no problem. Keep hitting it, killing yourself, having a great time lifting lots of heavy weights. You can actually get away with not lifting weights when you're young and still look really good and healthy. It's when we get older that I really, really recommend everybody needs to do some type of resistance training. So guys, the video today is about 5 different exercises that I really like because they're big compound movements. They hit lots of different muscle groups in the body, and they're real straightforward to do. You can do them at home. You don't need a big expensive gym membership. You don't need a bunch of expensive equipment. You don't need a personal trainer, okay? These are things that you can do at home. So why do I have this crazy picture of me in the background here? All right, just to let you know, all right, that if you really put your mind to it and really try hard, you can do just damn near anything. So I was 49 years old in that picture. I'm 59 now. Now, I am not as lean as I was back then, but that was because I literally intentionally got that lean for that bodybuilding contest. All right, so I keep a pretty low body fat year round. I'm kind of around 10% normally. I got down to 6%, all right, for that contest. And then back then, I was probably more around 11 or 12% body fat. So I had to drop 10 to 12 pounds of fat, even though I was in pretty darn good shape. It gave me a reason to get motivated, all right? There was a date, all right? I had to walk on that stage with no shirt. It was a little embarrassing, right? I was 49. The next oldest guy in that contest with me was 27. So anyway, it was fantastic. See this little sword? I actually won the contest. So that is how I ended up getting into this profession accidentally years ago. But guys, the point is, I wasn't some young spring chicken when I was doing this. I was really working out hard, and I've kept at it all these years. Now, that is one of the reasons why you need to be doing resistance training. The other thing is, I'm going to give you 5 different really great all-around exercises that you can just do at home. But what's more important for all you guys, you need to be following some kind of a comprehensive, professionally designed workout program. Something that goes on month after month after month and progresses over time and changes things up. All right, so that's more important. These exercises I show you today are not a workout in and of themselves, but they're exercises that you really need to know about. Some things that you can add in to your weekly or monthly workout programs if you want to just do a little bit more. But first of all, before I get to those exercises, you got to take advantage of the free stuff we give you here. And we give you a lot of free stuff at Live Anabolic. We have a phenomenal YouTube channel, guys. You really need to check that out. But also our Facebook group, all right? There's a link below this video. You got to try the Facebook group. It's free, even if you don't like Facebook or Mark Zuckerberg. I don't either. Just join, all right? it's got thousands of guys all around the world just like you. Okay, so I'm in there, I'm the moderator. I'm on there almost every single day. I try to answer every single question. Plus everybody else in the group is asking questions and answering questions. It's just a great motivator. So guys, join the group. I promise you won't regret it. All right, so the first exercise out of 6 that I'm gonna give you today is something called a goblet squat. Now you're gonna notice that out of the 6 exercises, 2 of them are lower body specific exercises. And of course, that's because we got a lot of big muscles in our lower body, and it's kind of hard to hit them all with just a single exercise. So the very first one is a goblet squat. So I like to hold this thing like this. Now basically, it kind of looks like a goblet, right? And we're just gonna do what would otherwise just be a body weight squat, but I'm adding resistance with this dumbbell. So guys, it's just the same old straightforward technique. Now, one thing is kind of look at my eyes. What am I doing here? I've picked a spot on the wall straight in front of me, and I'm using that to stare at. Of course, it helps with my balance, but the other thing is it helps keep my back straight. So, you know, I don't want you guys bending over like this, okay? So the very first movement to initiate this exercise, I want you to just stick your butt out a little bit. Just stick your butt out, all right? And then go straight down, straight up. Now the other thing is, look at my elbows. I have them tucked in like this. And when I come down, my elbows touch the inner part of my thighs. That tells me I'm all the way down. Okay, this is a full range of motion. Now, if you can't go that deep, that's okay. Go to here. Oh, your body won't go any further. That's okay. Then back up. Go to here and back up. So if you can't go through the full range of motion on any particular exercise because your back, your knees, whatever, I'm okay with that. Okay, you need to adjust for your particular fitness level and your injury. So if you can only go 3/4 of the way down, that's still fine. I still want you doing these goblet squats, but just slow it down a little bit. Slow that tempo down, because when you do that, it means you will increase the time under tension, which will make up for the fact that you're not going all the way down. All right, exercise number 2 is everybody's favorite, right? Chest day is pretty much everybody's favorite day at the gym. So we're doing it at home. Now I have a bench here. If you don't have a bench, that's fine. You can do this on the floor. But if you're doing it on the floor, remember when you're coming down with your chest press, your elbows are gonna hit the floor pretty quick, right? Because it's in line with your back. So instead, take a cushion off a chair or your couch, put it on the floor, and put the cushion behind your back. And that way, when you're going down with the dumbbells, you'll get a bigger range of motion because the cushion is keeping your back several inches off the floor, which means your elbows can go several inches deeper, all right? These little benches are pretty inexpensive, guys. You can find these on Amazon for kind of in the $70, $80, $100 range. They don't need to be really fancy, doesn't need to be super expensive. Most of them are gonna have an adjustable back like this one does. So if you're gonna be doing these dumbbell chest presses, I recommend that you do them with at least a slight incline. You can do them flat if you want, because that's of course what you're doing when you're doing it on the floor. But I like to have it at a slight incline because that helps to place a little bit more emphasis on my upper pecs. And that is always the hardest part of our chest muscles to develop for most guys, all right? So here I am, starting position, and I'm just going straight up and down. Now the other thing is, notice I don't want your elbows flared way out like this, okay? Don't do that. You're gonna tuck your elbows in just a little bit, okay? And you'll notice the dumbbells are gonna rotate with that, all right? So we're pressing straight up and straight down, guys, and really think about your chest contracting as you're pushing up here. Because you're gonna find that if you get that mind-muscle connection going, you're gonna get a much better pump. And then especially for you guys that don't have heavy enough dumbbells for your strength at home, when you get to the top of the movement, don't lock your arms out and bring the dumbbells together, because now the weights of these dumbbells are really being carried by my elbow joints and my shoulder joints, and my chest is not really contracting anymore. So if you stop here at the top of the movement, I still feel a lot of tension in my pecs. So all the way down if you can, and then when you go all the way up, stop right here. Don't lock it out and don't bring those dumbbells together. So down, up, exhale. Great exercise, not just for our chest, but guys, remember, this is a compound movement. So we're using our delts and our triceps, and to a lesser extent, our lats. And we're getting tons of different muscles involved in this one exercise. All right, so the third exercise today, guys, goes back down to our lower body. So our first leg exercise I showed you was a goblet squat. Now, when you're doing goblet squats, all right, you're getting a lot of the muscles in your lower body, but you're primarily focusing on your quads, okay? And at the very bottom, if you can go deep, you're gonna feel it in your glutes and your hamstrings. But if you can't go very deep, then you're primarily just getting your quadriceps, okay? So we wanna get our hamstrings and glutes also. And that's why this exercise is really good. It's got a couple of names. A lot of people call it a Romanian deadlift. The other term is called a stiff-legged deadlift. But in reality, we're not gonna have stiff legs. We're gonna have a bend in our knees. And it's very similar to a deadlift, but at the same time, different, okay? So this is an exercise where you're really gonna have to practice on your form to start feeling the mind-muscle connection in your hamstrings and your glutes. So that's what we're focusing on. We're not gonna be getting much quad work at all here, all right, guys? So let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm gonna stand kind of at an angle so you can see my knees here, all right? So when I go down, all right, when I go down with the deadlift part, you see how I have a bend in my knees? And the first part of the movement is I just stick my butt out and I wanna keep these dumbbells real close to my legs, all right? See how close my hands and the dumbbells are? They're riding down my quads and really almost touching my knees as I go down. And I'm picking a point on the floor about 10 to 12 feet out in front of me. And I'm staring at it all the way up and down. So my knees do bend, but I really am feeling mentally like I'm sticking my butt way back, and then up. Feel the stretch as you go down. And when you get down here, guys, just go as deep as your body will let you, and I can really feel the tension in my hamstrings. So I'm not bending my knees so much. I'm keeping them relatively straight, but there still is a nice healthy bend. All right, so the butt goes out. The butt goes out, going out more and more and more. My hands and dumbbells are real close to my shins, and then my knees, and then my thighs as I come up. And guys, when you keep the weight close to you, going up and down, you're gonna take a lot of the weight and stress off of your lower back. And it's gonna go on your hamstrings and your glutes instead. You do this exercise nice and slow and controlled, and you're gonna start feeling your hams and your glutes contracting if you're doing it right, and you'll feel almost nothing in your lower back. That is the right way to do a Romanian deadlift. All right, guys, this fourth exercise is for our shoulders. Now, we've hit a lot of other muscle groups already, okay? Now, this one is not a compound movement per se, not nearly as much as our goblet squats or our deadlifts or even our chest presses, but we really do want to focus on our shoulders. Now, guys, I'm going to show you two different ways to hit your shoulders. The very first one, and you don't have to do this seated. You can do this standing up, all right? But if you want, you can do it seated on the bench, on the couch, on the chair, it doesn't really matter. All right, I'm just gonna go with straight up and down shoulder presses here, guys. Now also, while I'm doing this, pay attention to where my eyes are, okay? I'm looking up and slightly forward. I'm picking a spot on the ceiling to help me balance, all right? So if I'm going forward like this, it's really weird. It puts your neck in an awkward position relative to your arms and shoulders. So you really do need to look up. Whether you're standing or seated, it doesn't matter. Now, if you have bad shoulders and pushing anything up above your head really hurts, this is a fantastic alternative. So guys, you can do this seated or standing, okay? These are called lateral dumbbell raises. So now when I'm doing this, guys, notice how my elbows have a slight bend in them. And then I'm not focusing on lifting my hands or the dumbbells. I'm really worried about getting my elbows up. Because if you try to get the dumbbells up, they'll come up like this. Oh, and it puts your shoulders in a real awkward position, creates an impingement, all right? So try to get those elbows up first, and then your elbows will drag your hands and the dumbbells along with them. Now, this exercise is going to require that you really use a much, much lighter weight than even pressing over your head. And it's simply because of the physics, okay? So your arms are way out here, the weight's way far away from your shoulder, which means it has a long leverage. So it has a mechanical advantage over your shoulder muscles, whereas when you're pushing over your head, the weight is much closer to the pivot point and hence feels a lot lighter. So great movement, guys. Just adjust according to your basic injuries that you've experienced through life. I'm lucky. My shoulders are still in really good shape. I got a little left shoulder problem that bugs me, but normally it doesn't stop me from doing anything, including golf. All right, so for the fifth exercise today, guys, we're gonna be targeting our back, and there's a lot of fantastic exercises we can do with just these inexpensive bands. So a set of bands on Amazon will run you $25, $30 max, all right? I actually have 3 sets, all right? So I can get some pretty interesting, elaborate setups when I'm using 2 sets of bands. I can get really wide anchor points and I can do some great chest exercises, but we're just gonna be focusing on our back right now. So single set of bands, all right? Nice high anchor point here, all right? And this is how I like to set up. Come down, and you can set up, you know, with your butt on the ground like this, or you can just cross your legs, it doesn't matter. And then I scooch away from the door. Scooching away from the anchor point means I've got some pre-tension here, guys. So you don't want it to be so close and so loose that the first part of your movement has got no resistance. All right, so make sure you got enough band resistance too, because this is a big, strong muscle group. We could lift or pull a lot of weight. So you're gonna have to probably load up with a lot more bands than I have right now. So I'm just sitting here on my butt, and I wanna focus on bringing my elbows, okay? This is another deal where you're not really worried about your hands or the handles. I'm focused on bringing my elbows down and back as far behind me as I can get them. And then at the bottom of the movement, you can really squeeze, okay? And when you squeeze, you can feel all those muscles in your back tense up. And so we're working not only just our lats, but our rhomboids and our traps, and a lot of other small stabilizer muscles in our back, like our teres minor and our teres major. So this is a great exercise, guys, for getting our back, because that's kind of a hard exercise to hit when you're working out at home and you don't have, you know, all this really expensive equipment that you see at the gym. That stuff costs thousands and thousands of dollars for each piece of equipment at the gym. These things are 25 bucks and you can do a ton of great stuff with them. All right, while I'm here, guys, exercise number 6 is gonna focus on our triceps. At the gym, once again, you get really expensive equipment with the cable machines. And you can do some fantastic tricep exercises with those cables. But for 25 bucks, not even leaving the comfort of your home, we can accomplish the same thing. So these tricep pushdowns are a fantastic way to get a huge pump. And guys, when it comes to building up your arms, remember your triceps are actually a bigger percentage of your overall arm mass than your biceps. So, you know, I see guys doing this all the time. They're always focused on curls because big biceps look cool when you flex them. But really, when you're walking around like this, wearing a short sleeve t-shirt, it's your triceps all right, that make your arm look big. Because how often do you walk down around the hallways or at the house or around the pool or in the front yard like this? Never, okay? So triceps is where it really comes into making your arms look big, all right? So this is another one deal where you gotta have a high anchor point up there. Get down on your knees, all right? And then keep your elbows tucked in close to your side here. Try to keep them nice and still, all right? And then I'm just gonna push straight down here. I'm just staring straight ahead, guys. And my focus when I'm doing this exercise is trying to keep my elbows as still as I can. And then at the very bottom, see how I really, I squeeze. I try to straighten my elbows. Even if I can't get my arms perfectly straight, I squeeze at the bottom. And that makes my triceps flex even harder. And then I control the bands on the upward movement here, okay? On the eccentric part, I don't want to come down and bounce up. Don't come down and bounce up, because when you're bringing your hands back up, that's the eccentric part, okay? That is just as important to muscle growth as the concentric muscle part. When you're contracting your muscles, when you're contracting your triceps, you're pushing down, all right? So that's important, but it's just as important to slowly and control those handles when you're bringing them up, because that way we're gonna damage more muscle fibers and we'll have more time under tension. Okay, I wasn't technically over 50 in this picture. I was 49, but I was really close. I was 49 and a half. All right, so guys, doesn't matter how old you are, 50, 60, 70, I don't care. Resistance training is the key, and I just gave you 6 great exercises to building muscle no matter how old you are. And then finally, guys, please take advantage of our freebie stuff. Our Facebook group is fantastic. You're gonna love it. A ton of guys just like you in there. I'm the moderator, which means I'm answering every single question almost every single day. So please join. And then finally, of course, it ain't gonna work unless you always stick with it and never give up on yourself.